You're on, sir.
Thank you. All right, let's call the Public Works and Utilities Committee for July 12th, 2021 to order. We have a roll call vote, please, or roll call, please, Ms. Diaz.
Councilor Garcia,
Present.
Councilor Abeta,
Here.
Councilor Lindell,
Here.
Councilor Vigil Coppler,
Here.
and Chairman Rivera.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, next, approval of the agenda. Any changes from staff?
No changes, Mr. Chair.
All right, I would like to move item A after item C. That way, if there's any questions for B and C, those folks don't have to stick around and wait for that. So can we have a motion for approval as amended?
Move to approve as amended.
Second.
Motion for approval is amended by Councilor Vigil Coppler, second by Councilor Abeta. Any further discussion? We have a roll call vote, please, Ms. Diaz.
Councilor Garcia,
Yes.
Councilor Abeta,
Yes.
Councilor Lindell,
Yes.
Councilor Vigil Coppler,
Yes.
and Chairman Rivera.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Approval of the consent agenda. Are there any items that anyone would like to pull? Councilor Lindell.
Thank you, Chair. Item B, please.
Item B. Anyone else? Councilor Vigil Coppler.
I would like to pull item C and A.
All right, all items have been pulled. Is there anyone else that wants to join as a counselor that pulls an item? All right, so items A, B, and C have been pulled. Any further discussion? We have a roll call vote, please, Ms. Diaz.
Councilor Garcia,
Yes.
Councilor Abeta,
Yes.
Councilor Lindell,
Yes.
Councilor Vigil Coppler,
Yes,
and Chairman Rivera.
Yes. Next, approval of the minutes from June 28th, 2021. Any changes from staff?
No changes from staff, Mr. Chair.
Any changes from the committee? Wishes of the committee?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion for approval of the minutes by Councilor Lindell, second by Councilor Garcia. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please, Ms. Diaz.
Councilor Garcia,
Yes.
Councilor Abeta,
Yes.
Councilor Lindell,
Yes.
Councilor Vigil Coppler,
I would like to abstain because I wasn't here for the entire meeting.
okay, and Chairman Rivera.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Next, we're on public comment. Is there anyone on Ms. Diaz that you know that is here for public comment?
Mr. Chair, I'm not aware of any public comment for today's meeting.
All right, Joe, do you see anybody?
I do not. I just see the mayor.
Okay. All right, we're on to item 7, presentation of the golf course by Miss McDonald.
Thank you, counselors. Can you see my screen?
We can see you, Miss McDonald. I don't know if you're planning on presenting anything.
Yes, Chairman, I'd like to share my screen so that I can share a PowerPoint.
It's enabled. You should be able to do that, Melissa.
Let me see if I can.
Are we going to let the mayor in to the meeting?
I think he's on a call, Ms. Wheeler.
Thank you.
Great. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I just need to put you guys away here. Yeah. There we go. All these things are in my way. Ah. Okay, I'll put that up here. Okay, great. Well, Councillor Rivera and other councillors, I thank you so much for this opportunity. I know that I've been wanting to come and present the great work that we have going on at the Marty Sanchez Links de Santa Fe. And I would like to start off the presentation with a moment to introduce a staff that I asked to join today. I think it's very important for you to see the folks that are running this awesome golf course and taking care of our many patrons. So I'd like to take a moment to introduce some people. I don't know everybody who's on the line, but I'll start off with Sam Ulabari, who is the acting parks superintendent position. And if they could just say, if you all could just say your name and what your job title is.
Yes, good evening. I'm Sam Olivari. I'm a sports complex superintendent and interim golf course superintendent. And yeah, I've been out at the MRC Marty Sanchez for about 5 years and with the city about 12 years.
Maybe Henry?
I think we lost Henry.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah, I
can't see
think
everybody on here.
He was going through San Felipe or something, it looks like.
Okay. Monica?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Monica Romero. I'm with the golf course as an account technician and do the coordinating for the MRC. And I've been there since 2012.
Thanks. Is Andrew Wilkins on?
Evening, everybody. I'm Andrew Wilkins. I'm parks maintenance worker at the golf course, and I've been there for going on 3 years now. Yeah, I do just about everything on the ground.
Thanks so much, Andrew. And I think that might be it. Is there anyone else that's at the course that would like to pop on? Okay, great. I think that might be all the folks that could make it today. But I did want to just recognize these folks because they've been doing a dynamite job for all of us. So thank you. So first of all, I want to say that the Marty Sanchez Links is a wonderful world-class golf course. We have many features that are very important. And I know many of you counselors have been out there and are strong supporters of this. You know, besides our 18-hole golf course, which I think compares to anything in the country. We also have a 35-station driving range, which is extremely popular. Lots of practice greens, putting greens. So we have a large selection of activities for people to do. We also have a pro shop that's fully engaged. They have wonderful folks that can teach lessons. They do custom club fitting. So all the services that a major golf course needs, we have there on site. Now we also host a lot of events within our community, and our staff is really known for their engagement within the greater Santa Fe community. And I think this is very, very important to its overall success. Some of the top ones are the Little Linksters Camp, the Junior Golf Camp. These are situations where we're bringing youth out and teaching them about golf, getting them engaged. We all know keeping kids busy is really important to the overall health of our community. So that's been very successful. We also have our city golf championships out there. And that brings out, 85 people to 100 every year. And then I know you're also aware of the 4 Kids Golf Tournament, which is now in its 23rd year of activity out there at the Marty Sanchez Links. And this is essential for creating scholarships to happen all year round for kids to be engaged, not only in golf, but other activities like at the GCC. And I'm sure you may have questions about that, but we're going to be doing that again soon. And that's very exciting. Now, we're not only popular and a valuable asset, which I know many of you will agree, But, you know, we really, when you look at the numbers, we really weathered COVID very well. You know, I've listed here the number of rounds that we have registered that we played. And if you look at 2018, we started out with 25,000. And then during the peak of COVID, we were at, you know, 33,000. So we're growing and we're seeing that. And this year we're just finishing up in July with 21,000. So we're really charted to exceed, and we're anticipating having a more successful year. And I think that this is in part that a lot of people learned that golf was a really fun sport, because when we all had to get outside, you know, much like our trails, people like golf. And so we're really excited about that. And I kind of have a comparison in the lower side of the screen here, where I'm looking at May through July of last year, and then our numbers of this year. And we're definitely on track to exceed these numbers. Oops, sorry about that. Now, when I came to you back in October of last year, October of 2020, I had just taken over as the acting Parks Division Director, and we were coming to you to raise our rates. I asked staff to call around to local golf courses to get us a comparison. And we're pleased to say that we're hitting the right rate. And I've kind of listed, there's lots of different rates that everybody compares, but I've listed our most popular ones. And you can see that Marty Sanchez is not only equal to the Santa Fe Country Club's rate during the most popular times, but we're also below the threshold on many other things. So this is many other rates. So we're very excited about that. I think the other aspect that I find encouraging is that we're really a family-oriented golf community. So not only are we reasonable and effective for some of our senior residents, that we're also bringing in the younger residents with those price points. So very exciting there. Now, one of the most important things about our golf course is our public-private partnerships. Our strategy from the beginning has really been to, you know, bring these partners in so that we can provide that world-class service. We have 3 major lessees and contractors that we're working with. We have New Mexico Golf Unlimited, who runs our pro shop and the kind of day-to-day aspects of running some of the golf course activities. We also have the Links Bar and Grill, which is run by Northern Ventures. And then we have our golf cart equipment lease out of Easy Go Carts. And these leases are coming to an end. And having that we just took over the golf course, we're recommending that we conduct an assessment. And this assessment will kind of let us know if we're hitting the mark and figuring out where we might want to expand, where we might want to set up this as we move forward. This next slide really shows you why we're considered a world-class golf course. Not only do we have the activities of the golf course, these are all the facilities that we take care of. So for the golf course, we have the 27-hole golf course, and we have driving range, practice greens, you know, carts, walking areas, restrooms. All of these areas are maintained by 1 superintendent and 3 what we call maintenance workers. And this is a lot of work. The sports field is maintained by 1 superintendent and 1 full-time maintenance worker. Now, this is offset by temporary employees, but in a year like this, where it's very hard for us to get some of the positions filled, a lot of that work is falling on these folks. And I just really want to recognize the folks that are here tonight, Andrew Wilkins, but also Will Lovato and Arturo Montes and Jordan Romero. These folks are really the backbone of this activity. And as you can see, we have a lot to take care of. There's over 650 acres that are developed, and 145 of those are irrigated turf grass. So it's a lot of daily work and a lot of early morning hours. So I just really want to recognize those folks. And this work is accomplished through daily and weekly rotational maintenance. And here you can see all the types of things that they do. So they mow the greens and the fairways and the fields, and they drag them to make sure that they're level. They clear bunkers. They do integrative pest management. We are very mindful that we're not using lots of chemicals out there. So it is more work. They do irrigation adjustments and repairs. We have restroom cleaning, administrative office cleaning, water transferring and monitoring, and compliance reporting. So it's a really big job, and we really cover it remarkably well. Now, the compliance is very complex, and this is really important because right now that falls on our superintendents, and compliance is essential to running this golf course. Not only are we trying to be water conserving, but we also have to meet all the regulatory requirements of using effluent. So we have potable water systems that we have to have daily and quarterly and monthly reporting on. We have effluent systems that need monitoring and checking. So there's a lot associated with these permits, and not only are they recording and monitoring, but they're having to stay updated and aware of what the laws are and how those regulations are changing. Another aspect about this is that with the invasive species, having so much being applied water and the effluent, we have a lot of noxious weeds coming in. So there's a lot of management with that we stay up on. Now this next slide is our staffing plan. You can see that I've broken up by colors. The blue positions are the currently filled positions, and the green positions are vacant positions that are either being advertised or filled by existing staff. And then the yellow positions are positions that will be coming forward that are new positions that need to be filled. Of course, I'm the acting Parks Division Director, but we also have the golf course superintendent position that is currently being advertised. And Sam Ulibarri is filling in from the MRC. So that's a very big help. Thank you, Sam. And then we also have our golf course mechanic position, which we now are on the third round of advertising, and we're hoping that we're going to get one in soon, but that has been a challenging position to fill. And then I've been working with staff to make sure that we can get a golf course manager in there that's going to service all of our needs as well as move us forward. And that we hope to advertise very soon. The other two positions, which is the park supervisor, is one in which I think is very important. As I said, there's a lot of that falls on to all of the folks that are here, especially the parks maintenance workers, with managing some of these temps and making sure that everything is meeting the par, especially around the compliance. So this park supervisor will do some of that management. Also, I would like them to be educated and advanced in a lot of the irrigation and monitoring techniques that we need to do. And all around, both in the golf course and the parks, I think this is an area that we could greatly improve. So that's very important in creating that career ladder that I know we've been talking about. And so I just want to highlight that one to you. The other one is the custodial position. Right now, we don't have a custodian. And so that also falls on to our parks folks that are out there really trying to focus on our turf areas and getting rid of some of those noxious weeds. And I feel that it takes some time away that we could easily fill. So being that we're way out there, it would be nice for us to be able to fulfill that position too. So lastly, before I answer questions, and I have staff here to answer anything that I haven't covered as well, I just want to hit some of the highlights and the focuses. Our number one priority is staffing. We're trying to fill those vacancies, those yellow positions and those green positions on our staffing chart, especially the golf course superintendent and the golf course mechanic position and the golf course manager. We also are going to be looking for that supervisor position as we move forward, and we want to really focus on some of our certification and staffing. Also, as you can see, our budget is really tooling up, and it's really reflective of growth. We need to really look at how we're going to keep up on the irrigation and repairs and improvements. We're wanting to reinstate some of our marketing. This is very important because we want to catch that wave of people discovering golf and wanting to really take that on. And then also, last but not least, all important capital improvement projects. We have several items that we want to call your attention to. We have a fire suppression system that we think is obviously critical. These are all on the capital improvement list. But we also have some upgrades to our restrooms. They're very old and aging and don't work always as well. And then we want to repave the road and some of the parking lots and paths. And so with that, I would like to turn it over to you all for questions.
Thank you, Ms. McDonald. I know the golf course has received some attention in the paper, and we've received some emails from various people about them. So thank you for the presentation. We'll now open it up to questions. Are there any questions for Ms. McDonald? Councilor Lindell.
Thank you, Chair. If you want to go ahead and pull up the staffing chart again.
Sure.
Because that's the other information is important. And I think a lot of people are aware of some of it, but not all of it. But I think this staffing chart is where we need to spend some time. The way that this is under the Parks Division, under the Parks Division Director, there's 3 areas under that. We have MRC Superintendent, Golf Course M and MRC Manager, and Golf Course Superintendent. So the MRC has its own superintendent?
Yes, that's correct. Can others see the staffing plan?
No.
Okay. I'm having difficulty getting this to let me share my screen. Let me see what I can do. It's not coming. Oh, here it is. Sorry about that. Okay. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for your patience.
So there's a golf course superintendent and an MRC superintendent and a golf course and MRC manager.
Correct.
And right now, both sides of that have the word golf course in them have vacancies, correct?
That is correct.
How long have they been vacant?
Councilor Rivera or Chairman Rivera, Councilor Lindell, the golf course superintendent position has recently been vacated by Patrick Brockwell as of June 30th. And the golf course MRC manager has not ever been filled as it's going to be defined. But that was Jen Romero's sort of position there, yes.
Okay. So in that golf course MRC manager position, are we changing that? Is it a new position? Have we advertised it? Have we gotten applicants?
Councilor Lindell,
Yes.
that position is being finalized and will be advertised very shortly. And that position is going to assist in a lot more of the administrative aspects of this, but working with all of the folks you see underneath there to move us forward, as well as a golf superintendent and the MRC. So that person will be working very closely with them to make sure that things are ordered on time, that we're getting, we're staying on track with our all of the activities that will support those superintendents so that they can focus on the crews to get the work done.
And we have a full-time marketing person for the course.
Yes, Councilor Lindell, that position currently is held by Henry Lucero.
Uh-huh.
And he does all of our marketing, which I think does a great job. And that also supports not only the golf course, but the restaurant and the pro shop, and all of the advertisements that go out to the community are run through myself as well as that specialist.
And we have a current admin assistant out there.
Yes, Councilor Lindell, that is Monica Romero, who is also here tonight. And she works part-time and does all of our league outreach. So I didn't touch too much on the MRC, but there's a whole nother aspect of the area of this division, which is our league development. And she does a lot of the work with our leagues. So all of their games, their concessions, their needs, that kind of funnels through both the admin assistant, the golf course MRC manager, and myself.
Okay, I can see how that would certainly take 20 hours a week. Does she work somewhere else for the, is she full-time and just has 20 hours at the golf course and 20 hours somewhere else?
No, Councilor, Ms. Romero just works part-time and she has other responsibilities. Mhm.
Okay. I mean, we've got this golf course mechanic. We're at the, we're still at the front end of July. And how many times have we advertised this?
This will be our third time advertising this position.
Okay, what's the speed bump that doesn't allow us to get a course mechanic hired?
Councilor Lindell, I think that well, I'm hoping that it's just that the job description hasn't pulled forward the correct person for it at this point. We've been working a lot on the job description to broaden it and allow for different types of skill sets to come forward. I also think it has a lot to do with COVID and that there are a lot of jobs available for mechanics because people aren't able to buy new cars. And so people are kind of fixing up old cars. They're deciding to repair cars. So it makes it challenging for us to get it. So we've been working very hard to look at that job description and make it more flexible so that we can get somebody good in there. And it is a really specialized type of mechanic because, you know, golf carts and small equipment needs blade sharpening, things that, you know, we are hopeful that we'll be able to get somebody good.
How about the park supervisor, the new position? What's the description on that?
Yes, Councilor Lindell. So that job description is one that we've been working closely with staff on and Director Wheeler on. And this particular position is really structured to assist the parks maintenance workers and the temps to support them in training, especially around irrigation, and to really kind of step in where needed, and then to move the whole group forward with education and understanding of how to keep things moving. I mean, we have some wonderful people out there, but that added hand, boots on the ground will really help us a lot.
Have we advertised that position yet?
I know that position, Councilor, is needing to be created and funded.
And how long is that? It's not funded?
No, it is not funded at this moment.
Chairman and Councilor Lindell, if I could, it's not only not funded, but it doesn't exist at all. So we have to find a position and the money, as Melissa said. It's a sparkle in our eye at this point.
Well, I would encourage that happens as soon as humanly possible, to shake the trees and find that position and find the money for it and get the position description written and be ready to put it out there just as soon as it's approved and funded. I mean, this golf course and we've talked a lot about this. It's nothing new. We need to get some personnel out there, and sooner rather than later. We cannot possibly wait until the main part of this season is done. I mean, we've been lucky this year that we haven't had the water issues that we have in the past year or two. I'm not aware of maybe only one time, maybe two times that we haven't had water, and it hasn't gone on for days on end, which is terrific. But nonetheless, with the heat wave that we've had, we don't have a superintendent right now. If we throw on top of that a water issue, things look pretty good right now, but they can look pretty bad very, very quickly. And we have a mammoth investment out there, and we just can't take any risk with it. I think that this council wants to see these positions, wants to see them funded. And if you need to come back to us and ask for that, I'm quite certain that it will be supported. I'm worried about this. I'm worried about the amount of personnel that we have. We have all this green on this chart. And Melissa, I know that you're out there, that you work like crazy on it. But all we need is just a couple of bad alignments, and we'll be into a situation that we've never really faced before, and I don't want us to ever face with the condition of that course. We've got to find a superintendent, got to find a manager, and we have got to find a mechanic. Hopefully that new park supervisor person is going to be have some deep skills in irrigation, because we have some mighty sizable irrigation problems there. But I think the main point with this is it has to happen sooner rather than later. We're in like I said, we're July 12th. We're still on the front end of July, but we've still got a lot of hot weather in front of us. And I would just ask you to please push as hard and work as hard as possible to get the personnel issues on this golf course addressed. Because from one week to the next, this incredibly multi-million-dollar asset of the city could have huge problems. So I don't know how I could be any clearer. I don't think I could be, but that's what we need to do, and it needs to be an absolute priority. So thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Vieira-Coppler, you have your hand up.
Thank you, Chair. So I would like to ask a question about the golf course superintendent. And this position isn't just a run-of-the-mill, it's very specialized. And so I'm wondering, Melissa, do you think the job description adequately reflects the knowledge and qualifications that this position has to have in order to keep the grounds in the fashion that golfers are expecting to have them, and just in regular golf playing condition? And where are you advertising for this position?
Thank you, Chairman Rivera, Councilor Coppler. Yes, I do believe that the job description does adequately describe the work that is necessary. We did do some additional clarifications for placement at the golf course to help solicit a better amount or more qualified candidates. We are advertising this through the normal means that HR does. We also are putting that out to our greater network. So Henry Lucero does manage a list of golf course supporters and associations. And so we're doing it that way, as well as putting it on things like Indeed and some of the private type ones.
So is it being advertised already, or where is it in the process? And when does it close, if it is?
Yes, Councillor Koppler, this closes on July 22nd. We did give it a month, even though we need a person right away. We wanted to allow people enough time to get some more serious candidates, because we agree with you that this is a very important position to the golf course.
Thank you. And along the same lines, what are your comments about the temporary staffing that was implemented at the golf course, whereby the temporary agency was able to pay something like $22 an hour for the maintenance crew, and they worked alongside our employees who are left, who maybe earn $13 an hour? There seemed to be some dissatisfaction with that arrangement, although I understand the reasoning. But is that still going on, and what kind of fallout did we have from that?
Yes, Chairman Rivera, Councillor Koppler, we are still using the temporary service while we advertise for the positions. However, we did not get any people to apply for our seasonal positions. We had one or two, I guess, on our third round. And then when we called to set up interviews, they had accepted other jobs. So we were in a bit of a bind, and we needed to act quickly to make sure that the work was getting accomplished, especially during the peak season when we needed to, relieve some of the existing staff. So as it is now, we do have the temporary employees there. We have 6 at the golf course and 2 at the MRC fields. That fluctuates slightly because when somebody doesn't work out, our superintendent sends them back. So we make sure that they work. It's not ideal. It's not what we would have hoped for, but it's what we're doing to make sure that the work gets done. And I do think that has placed a little additional burden on some of the existing parks maintenance workers because they're having to train these folks as well as the superintendents.
Have we experienced where our employees quit and then joined the temporary agency to get the $22?
Not that I'm aware of, Counselor, but I'm not that I'm aware of.
If I could add to that too, Chairman, Councillor Koppler, that does, so the temporary employees don't have the beautiful benefits that city employees have, including para, sick leave, and a great medical coverage, vacation time, all of that. So there's quite a bit more benefit to being a city employee. So I think it would be that does offset some of the cash payment that the temps get.
Yeah, I understand that. But when you're looking at the disparity in the pay, sometimes those things don't matter. But I was just wondering, because we did have some complaints about it, and it's just, I'm not sure how you all in management alleviate those concerns from current employees.
Chairman, Councillor Koppler, yes, we're working closely with staff, and we're working on a number of strategies to have increased their satisfaction. They're incredibly valuable to us, that team. And, there's kind of a type of person in the world, Councillor Koppler, that you're looking at a bunch of them right now, that we're here to serve the city. We love this work. It isn't the highest paying job we could get. It isn't the easiest job we could get. Things don't happen fast at the city. Your needs don't get met instantaneously, but we work together as a team, and it feels really good. And the team that is at the golf course is incredibly dedicated to that facility and their team. And Melissa and I are now working with them very closely to add these positions, adjust pay as we possibly can, really increase the satisfaction, meet their needs from an equipment perspective, a staffing perspective. a responsiveness and management perspective. And so we are on the job to address our employees' concerns out there. And we know they're with us. They're dedicated. They're dedicated to your satisfaction with the results. They're dedicated to the constituents' satisfaction with the results. And that's what we're working on as a team.
Well, I hope so. I appreciate the approach and your philosophy on it. And you know, that's not what I hear from people some of them who work there, but I'd say I'm not sure what else you can do, but you know, it behooves us to fix this as soon as we can, because you could lose some employees, because that is quite a disparity. $9 or $10 an hour is quite a bit of difference when our people are training them. So I don't have to tell you any more about this. I know you know that. The next thing I wanted to ask about is, with the employees that we do have, well, before I get off of that, the golf course MRC manager has been vacant for about 8.5 months. So my same questions, Melissa, to you are, what is it that you're doing to advertise that position? You may have said so earlier. Is it being advertised? When does it close? Are you happy, or was the job description updated to reflect the amount of work that position has?
Chairman Rivera, Councilor Vio-Koppler, that position is not currently being advertised. We're very close to finalizing the job description, and then it will be submitted to HR for advertising moving forward. And it is a very important position. I think more importantly, we wanted to get the golf course superintendent position up and running first.
Well then, but I don't understand what explains the 8.5 months vacant. Are you saving money, or what are you doing?
No, Councilor Koppler, it was a period of time in which we were evaluating what was needed and making sure that we were getting the correct job description in place.
If I could, Chairman and Councilor Vio-Koppler, add to that, we're actually working with the staff to make sure that we define that role in a way that is really supportive to them. We don't need to add some middle management that's going to sit on their heads and not add value, right? We want somebody that's really bringing something to the team. And so we're working with them to finalize the job description. And like Melissa said, we really wanted to get in there and find out, you know, what does the golf course need? How does it move and shake? What did the employees need before we hired a manager for a team that we didn't fully understand? And I think it's important that we're hiring it as a team rather than just as management putting somebody in place.
And if I may, Councilor Koppler, that position hasn't been available for 8 months. It was unfrozen just a few months ago when all the positions were unfrozen. So it was not active until recently.
Okay, then I wanted to ask, I've gotten numerous complaints about the condition of the course. And I mean, so much so that people are deciding to go play elsewhere. And have you, or does anybody know what kind of revenue loss we're seeing because of the course condition? And certainly the vacancies I know have something to do with this, but
there's no loss. Our numbers are up.
Yeah.
You can go to that slide, Melissa.
Sure. I'm not sure that I have it based in actual sales, but you can see our rounds are up, which equates to increased revenues. So our actual rounds are up. But I do want to say that there's a number of reasons. Certainly staffing is a huge area that we want to fill, especially that superintendent position. The temps really helped when we were able to fill those positions. And now the big one is to get that mechanic position filled. The mechanic position is essential because this is specialized equipment for all of these areas. And we need to make sure that those machines are up and running efficiently. So we're very hopeful that that position is going to get filled this time. I will say that we have reached out to another entity and asked them if we might be able to employ their assistant. And this came at a recommendation of our staff. And I think that would be a really win-win for both of us. They're kind of not needing this intern, and we're in desperate need of having somebody there. So that would really help us if we could get that position filled. But unfortunately, the hard part is that we have a lot of people who are coming to the golf course, and that does increase the pressure on our full-time staff, as well as attempts to really, and they're doing an awesome job, and we fully understand that this is a lot of work for them, and we're working as quickly as we possibly can. I know that HR immediately posted the superintendent position within days of us requesting that position. So they've been working with us closely to get all of these up there. It's very important to us to also make sure that for that manager position that was freed up a few months ago, to make sure that that position is filled with the right person, so that, you know, we have them being able to manage that situation and to support our staff in the best possible way. So I think most people are understanding that work at the course, that we get the right people in the right place. But I agree with you. It is, it's been challenging this year. And I think some of it really has to do with COVID. And then some of it is just transition that happens.
Okay, and then I guess one more thing is, what authority does the city council have over New Mexico golf employees?
Councilor Koppler, I'm not exactly sure of the question, but essentially it's a contract that comes through the council. It's a 4-year contract, as all of these contracts are. And the authority would be the details of that contract. So part of our assessment is really to look at the contract details and make sure that it's serving our needs. And in that process, you certainly would have the opportunity to express what you want to see at the course, or any counselor would want to see at the course.
And we would express those to you?
Counselor Koppler, you could express them to myself, or we could make that part of the assessment where they reach out to the counselors to get their impressions and their desires.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Councilor Garcia, your hand is up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just got a quick question. Melissa, in regards to the golf course mechanic, what is the pay for that position? What do we advertise in the pay rate at?
I'm not exactly sure of the range. I'd have to dig into my the exact numbers. I'd have to dig into my files, but I think it caps at about 22. I believe it's from it's a pay grade 4, and it goes from, I believe, 18 to 22.
Okay. And do you know if that's comparable to a person of that specialty? I mean, it seems, I'm just going off of if when you take your car to a normal automobile mechanic, the hourly rate just for them to look at it is much higher than that. And if this position requires such type of specialty experience, I think we should really do an assessment and maybe adjust the pay accordingly, and we would probably see an influx of applications. I think that's what we're tending to see across not only positions within the city, but across lots of positions. Now that businesses opening back up, we're seeing folks are not satisfied with the pay that is been kind of offered for positions, and folks are holding out or changing fields to take their worth. And especially on a position like this that is very specialized, I think we need to, if we don't get any applications, I seriously recommend we do an assessment and adjust the pay accordingly, as well as with any of our positions with this type of specialty, especially with the MRC manager, whenever we start to post, whenever we finalize the position description and post that as well. But no other questions, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Melissa. I appreciate the presentation.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Beta.
Thank you. Just a couple of questions that I don't think were addressed. Regarding the golf carts, I don't think I heard, is there a plan to replace them? I'm sure they're probably higher, better technology golf carts today than what we purchased. I don't even know how long ago we purchased these other ones, but what is the plan for replacing the golf carts?
Chairman Rivera and Councilor Abeda, thank you for that great question. We're very excited to get some new golf carts. They're lithium battery golf carts, so they're going to be fitting nicely with our sustainability goals, and they last a lot longer than some of the other types of battery operated electric vehicles. We are a little bit delayed, and that has to do with, again, COVID. Just like in cars, the manufacturing has been held up. So they're estimating us to be able to get those carts in December or January, and we're currently moving through the contractual phase of that now.
Okay, and that would that replace all of the carts? Would it be a complete replacement or just a certain number?
Councilor Beta, yes, that would be replacing all 75 carts.
Okay, great. And then the only other question, Mr. Chairman, is regarding the bathroom and the restaurant facility itself. Who's responsible for mechanical problems that happen with like air conditioning or heat, or if there's plumbing issues with the facility or issues in the kitchen or roof? Who does that? Is that another department altogether, or is it another division in Public Works, or who's responsible for that?
Chairman Rivera, Councilor Beta, yes, that's an excellent question. The facilities division does support the golf course in those repairs, and we have had a number of repairs because those structures are aging, and so they're very accountable to that, and they're out there handling many of those complaints, which is, I'm thankful for them.
Okay, so is there, because there's so many complaints and issues, is there a plan to do large overhauls so that we don't have to be dealing with this over and over again?
Yes, Chairman Rivera and Councilor Beta, there are some plans to do that, and that assessment again will touch upon each of those items.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Councilor Garcia, your hand is up again. Do you have another question?
I do, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much. And Councilor Bates' first question really perked my ears in the sense that we're planning on investing in golf carts, but we're not really planning on investing in our team. And I think that to me is very striking and concerning. We heard from Councilor Behill-Koppler in regards to how bringing in outside contracted staff impacts morale within our teammates and our team members. And if I was a person working at the golf course and hearing that there's going to be enough money to go around for a new fleet of golf carts, but not money to really look at and evaluate our pay and adjust accordingly, that would absolutely be a blow at my morale and the value that I see from management sees my value as a teammate. So why are we planning on replacing a fleet versus really doing an assessment of our golf course staff and adjusting their pay accordingly?
Thank you for the question, Chairman Rivera and Councilor Garcia. The equipment lease is a 4-year lease, and that it is up. This is something that we have to do. It's the standard practice that people go into these leases for 4, 5, 6, and 10 years. So we are just simply at the end of a lease and needing to redo the lease. The current fleet that we have is one which usually after 4 years, the batteries start dying. And so then we increase significant costs, and we have a lot of carts down. So right now, you know, we're down about 30 carts that are constantly needing to be repaired. So really, this is just an ongoing standard of doing business. It's across the board, and this is how most people run golf courses.
Chairman and Councilor Garcia, if I could add to that. So we aren't buying the carts. It's a lease arrangement that we've had for a long time. And the governing body is the one that approves the pay for all the employees in the budget for fiscal year 22. And so it's a big undertaking when you're looking at union positions. And if you're talking about adjusting the pay for all parks maintenance workers, that will have ripples across the organization. And I think probably be a union contract negotiation issue. So those kinds of undertakings would be a whole different kind of ball game than what we can play here as we fill vacancies. So we're working, I think you may be aware, HR is definitely taking a look, and as city manager is as well, at strategies that we can use in this time that's so difficult to fulfill many vacancies across the city, not just at the golf course, but wholesale adjustments in pay are a much larger undertaking than the golf course can attempt at this point.
And Councilor, Chairman Rivera and Councilor Garcia, I do want to just express, and I've said this at other meetings, and I said this at the budget hearings, that I take the career ladder very seriously. And again, I've only been in this position 8 months, but I am working with folks to not only figure out ways that we can create that next rung and create training opportunities so that there is opportunity to move up, because we are fortunate in the city to have some very dedicated employees who bring a lot to the table and really think of this as more than just a job. They want to stay with the city and they want to grow with the city. And I fully understand and appreciate that. And I want to help be part of the team to move that forward. I just want to assure you that is something that I am taking very seriously.
Thank you, Melissa. I really appreciate you incorporating that philosophy into your management system. I mean, it really means a lot, and to know that there is management support for growth for our employees is that's tremendous, and thankful to hear that. What I am disappointed to hear is Ms. Wheeler's comments and trying to defer that it's the governing body's responsibility in that sense, where we all know the budget starts off with the executive based off of recommendations from management. And I think the conversation begins with management and management's value in employees. And so with that, please don't defer. I find it really unfortunate. Please don't defer to the governing body and try to point the finger at us, because at the end of the day, if I had the magic wand, I would, throughout the entire city, assess every position and where we are across all positions, and are they equitably treated and equitably their pay reflect their positions. And I think whereas even as Councilor Vihil-Coppler mentioned earlier, there's many folks are upset. And when we bring in outside contractors and who are being paid $10 more an hour, we all know benefits doesn't cover $10 an hour. And at the end of the day, what you take home in your pay to help your family survive is what really matters. How you put that food on the table and pay your mortgage, your rent, whatever it may be. And the benefits, yes, that's nice, but sometimes those benefits aren't afforded to certain staff within the city. So I think we really need to take a hard look at how we can begin to support our teammates. So I appreciate your comments, Ms. McDonald, in regards to looking at the career ladder approach, because that is that is a philosophy that should be promoted and practiced by every manager within the city. With that, no other comments or questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Garcia. Councilor Vihil Coppler.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to ask if, kind of along the same lines, were these positions that are the glimmer of hope, were they requested in the last budget cycle? No?
They were not.
Councilor
Chairman Vihil Coppler, they were not.
Okay, are you going to? Well, so we're not, okay, we just won't have them. I mean.
Chairman, Councilor Vihil Coppler, the mechanism that the departments are left with for this type of activity is we can find other funded vacant positions that we could convert. There aren't any at the golf course and there aren't any in parks, but we can look across public works to see if there are vacant funded positions that are funded in the proper type of money that we could conceivably move over to the golf course. That's one of the tools that we're left with when we want to do adjustment to our organizational structure when it's not budget time.
Okay, and then, I don't want to rest on the laurels that we have not seen a decline in golf rounds, but there are a lot of people in our community that are talking about the condition of the golf course. And it is not in the best condition. And I know it's due to these vacancies, but I don't have any real high hope that we're going to automatically see these positions filled in an expedient timeframe. But I did want to point one thing out that I do know is that I know that you said, Melissa, that the city's facilities is responsible for the upkeep of the golf course, and I assume that means some of the custodial duties. But New Mexico Golf is cleaning restrooms and doing things like that. And I think, we should commend them for doing that. I don't believe it's in the contract, but there should be some appreciation for caring how the public sees the golf in the pro shop area and all of that. So I don't know if you knew that, but.
Yes, Councilor, actually, that is part of their lease.
Is part of their lease?
Yes, actually, the care of the cleaning of all the facilities is part of their lease, and it specifically calls out the restroom.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
It's a kind of complicated lease, by the way, and people don't always realize how much is covered in that lease, but yes.
Okay, well then I'm happy to hear that, but I mean, everybody chipping in is a good thing. And so when you have tough times like we have, I mean, I do think we need to pay attention to the condition of the course, but showing appreciation for everyone is good. So I hear that in your voice, and I'm glad. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So thank you, Ms. McDonald, for your presentation. We had been hearing some reports about the condition of the golf course. So I went out there on Friday and borrowed a cart and drove the Great 28 as well as the main golf course. And I checked out the driving areas, the practice areas, the practice greens. And in my opinion, and I am a golfer, the course is in relatively good shape. I spoke with many of the golfers that were out there. One gentleman from White Rock with his 4 daughters were out with his 3 daughters were out there playing, and they said, they don't understand why the golf course is getting such a bad rap right now, because in their opinion, it was in pretty decent shape. Many of the people out there golfing said the same thing. With that, there is, so let me commend Samuel and the rest of the team for really keeping it up and doing a pretty good job. But with that, I do think we need more boots on the ground and more attention to parts of the golf course that you can tell are in bad shape, and it's really because of lack of the staffing to do it. And that's really people to actually work the grounds themselves. So if you go back to, can you go to slide 8 on your display there?
Yes.
I'll just give a quick example, but where that gentleman is mowing, right below him is a sand trap, and that's supposed to be all sand. It's not supposed to be weeds. It's not supposed to be grass. It's not supposed to be anything. And really that leads to really people mowing and having enough boots on the ground, staff people to really maintain and take care of those areas, as well as other parts of the golf course. Some of the tee boxes look like they needed to be mowed, but they weren't in bad shape. The greens, the fairways, excellent shape. So really that goes to really the work that is going on there now. So I'm not so much concerned about superintendent and managers and people like that. I'm more concerned about having the people on the ground that can take care of those issues, especially the Great 28. The sand areas were in much worse shape than on the main course. So again, when you have those kinds of things going on, it's really lack of staffing to really take care of those areas. And again, that's boots on the ground people. When we lost the superintendent, did we look at the possibility of promoting somebody under the superintendent? Because typically they know the mowing patterns, they know the sprinkler systems, they know pretty much everything about it based on the work that they've done. They might not have all the certifications that they need, but is there anybody qualified below them that we might be able to give a year grace period to get their certifications that they need? It's just a question. I'm not real sure what the answer is, but or if that is an answer.
Chairman Rivera, yes, I can answer that. Yes, that's certainly something that we can consider, though. In order to do that, we'd have to work with HR, because my understanding is that you do need to meet the qualifications of the job description in order to become acting in that position. And I do want to say that some of the certifications around that are most important are some of the irrigation certifications. So that is why our current superintendent is acting as the superintendent, because he has those qualifications. And those are very important, especially around some of the irrigation issues and some of the compliance issues. We have a lot of compliance, as I mentioned, in this position. So it made sense to me to have that position be filled with somebody who knew that job.
Yeah, thank you. So, I don't see the golf course in as bad shape as everyone's making it out to be. In fact, I tried to get on and make a tee time, looked at the last 2 weeks, and the earliest tee time for the next 2 weeks is at 12:30 in the afternoon. So there's a lot of people out there golfing, and that's a great thing. So clearly, it's not as bad as everyone's making it out to be. But thank you for the presentation. I do appreciate your work. I do understand that it's hard when you're looking at pay with unionized employees, because it does have to go through the collective bargaining process. You can't just say, we have 10 workers out here and they're doing a great job, we're going to bump their pay 10%. Doesn't work like that. You have to go through collective bargaining. So I understand it. I see that, and hope that future collective bargaining negotiations may include some of that. But we'll wait and see how that goes. So thank you very much. Appreciate your hard work, and hope you can get the staff and even managers and supervisors that you need as soon as possible.
Thank you, Chairman Rivera and counselors, for hearing us today. And I also want to remind people, kind of touching on what Councilor Lindell said, we are in a historic drought. And that also factors into the conditions of this turf. And I think with the recent rains, we're seeing some of that green up a little more. So there's a lot of issues that we need to work out, but we have challenges with COVID and the historic drought. And I think sometimes people forget that this is a lot of area, a lot of turf. We have 145 acres of turf. And that's a maintenance job, and it's also a watering job. And anyone who has a garden knows that when it rains, it'll look a lot better than when you water it. So anyway, thank you very much for your time, and I will take all of your comments and try to move these things forward as quickly as possible.
Thank you, Ms. McDonald. And I thank your staff as well. I really do appreciate it. Tell as many of them as you can that I said, and the other counselors, that we appreciate the work they're doing out there. We're on to item B, which is request for approval of service agreement in the total amount of $1,444,526.87 to replace Fort Marcy roof and skylights, First Mesa Construction Incorporated. Councilor Lindell, you pull this.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for at the end of the last item, thanking the staff out at the golf course. I think we'd all like to do that. On to this item having to do with Fort Marcy. I can't remember how long ago it was, and I don't know if anyone on this Zoom meeting other than Councilor Rivera and myself remember that we went through a roofing situation at Fort Marcy some years ago. Not that many years ago, certainly less than 10 years ago. I very specifically remember when we were having a roofing contract for another building in the city that I asked a question of, we aren't using the same contractor that we used at Fort Marcy, are we? That project previously, when we did that, it took forever. Clearly enough, I don't know who's managing this project.
That
Karen?
would be me.
Okay. Did we re-roof this area that we're re-roofing now in the last 10 years?
Not that I'm aware of. So in this project, we're actually re-roofing the entire building, replacing all the skylights, including in the gymnasium, bringing the existing skylights up to code, and should be this work is expected to greatly improve the situation in the natatorium as
Okay. I'm just saying, I think that we re-roofed a lot of this building within about the last 7 years. And
there was a contract with Roof Care to do repairs on the natatorium roof about 5 years ago. Despite those repairs, we've continued to have leak problems with the natatorium. The rest of the building, I'm not as familiar with the timeline on the last roof job.
okay, well, clearly what they did didn't work. And we gave them a sizable amount of money. And I guess we didn't have any guarantee on it. The thing with this contract, I have a couple of questions and thoughts on it. The contract doesn't seem to be let out to a company that is actually doing the roofing.
So this combination of companies is the same group that did the Montoya building for the state a few years ago with their big skylights in the atrium. The engineering firm, as well as the general contractor and the subcontractors. were all involved with that project. So I think that we've got a good team for this. That project went off very, very well. And so I think we've got the right experience to do this job properly.
Well, I hope so, because it's a lot of money. We're contracting with First Mesa Construction, and then they are subcontracting with a different roofing company. My question is, what is our guarantee on this roofing, and who is giving us the guarantee? Is it the contractor of,
So the roofing contractor is DKG. They are very well regarded. They will provide the necessary guarantees, and it comes to us through First Mesa. And so the roofing product that they're planning to use is actually a 25-year warranty.
okay. And we've had legal go through this and confirm that we're comfortable having DKG do the roof, but that our warranty is through a different company.
Legal has reviewed the contract. I don't know that they looked at whether or not there would be subcontractors involved. Typically on projects like this, they do bring in specialized subcontractors.
Okay, I
to
would
do the
just,
different pieces.
I would just really appreciate it if someone would just check on that. We've been burnt on this roof now because we spent a lot of money on it the last time. And not only do we spend money on it, we have loss of use during the project. And that project went on forever. I mean, it was a nightmare project. I think Councilor Rivera, you remember that. It went on way too long. Of course, the problem now is we're going to lose the use of the facility for how many months?
6 weeks. And during that time, we are also going to coordinate 3 other needed maintenance projects for the natatorium. And it will only be the natatorium for which we'll use that use for 6 weeks.
Okay. That seems so optimistic to me. I mean, I would rather have someone under promise and over deliver than over promise and under deliver. I do not want to have our constituents planning on 6 weeks, and at the 11th week, I don't want to tell them, well, due to COVID and the supply chain, I don't want to go there.
Due to the, I apologize, please continue.
No, go ahead.
Due to the other projects that we are going to coordinate to happen during the same closure, those other projects may necessitate that it be longer than 6 weeks. But the roofing and skylight contractors tell me that they believe that they can do it. Actually, they think it'll be less than 6 weeks, but we have 6 weeks in the schedule to make sure that we can do it properly.
And what are the other projects that we're afraid are going to take longer than 6 weeks?
We have a number of safety upgrades to the pool equipment room. The items for that are actually already on order. Facilities maintenance has 2 projects that they wish to do during this time frame as well. The drains around the pool deck and the boilers that heat the pool will also be coordinated to happen in this time frame. I do not know what the status is of the orders for the boilers. I can check in with facilities maintenance and get that information for you.
Okay. I would rather put off the start of this project until we know that we can get it done in the time frame that we say we're going to get it done. It just, when you start closing a facility and it's closed an extra 4 weeks and an extra 6 weeks, then an extra 2 months, we got to do better than that. And so do the contractors that we hire. So,
So the preliminary schedule that the contractor developed is intended to make sure that the materials are received. It's based on the currently available lead times from the manufacturers. If we can expedite it, we will. And we will be coordinating with Fort Marcy staff as well as facilities maintenance to really minimize the inconvenience to patrons of this facility.
do we ever put anything in our contracts where if they don't meet their schedule by a vast amount of time that they take a decrease in their pay? Does that ever happen on any contracts?
I am not aware of a clause like that in any of our contracts. I can check with the legal department to see if that could be added. There may be some state requirements that would prevent us, but I will find out.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you overseeing this. You know, it's over. By the time it's all said and done, it'll probably approach 1.5 million. It's not a small amount of money. And hopefully they can do it in a timely manner. And we'll get a guarantee on it because we spend an awful lot of money on a very, very poor product. So thank you. That's all I have, Chair. With that, I would make a motion to approve.
We have a motion for approval by Councilor Lindell, second by Councilor Garcia. Any further discussion? Don't see any. I echo what Councilor Lindell has said, and that roof has been a nightmare, so I hope we get it right this time. So we have a motion and a second. No further discussion. Can we have a roll call vote, please, Ms. Diaz?
Councilor Garcia,
Yes.
Councilor Abeta,
Yes.
Councilor Lindell,
Yes.
Councilor Behill Coppler,
Yes.
and Chairman Rivera.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next, we're on item C. Ms. Diaz, would you read that into the record, please?
Yes, let me just get it pulled up. Request for approval of award of bid 2137B for the citywide water utility construction and repair price agreement CIP number 3057 with Subsurface Contracting Inc. and AAC LLC for $250,000 exclusive of NMGRT to each contractor per fiscal year. And then request for approval of budget adjustment resolution in the amount of $542,188 from the Water Enterprise Fund cash balance to Water CIP Fund for fiscal year 2022.
Thank you. Councilor Behill Coppler, you pulled this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to ask, engineer's estimate, one of the three bidders, that is a bidder, right? So it's not just an engineer estimate.
Mr. Chair, I would like to try to answer any questions for the Water Division tonight. So, Mr. Chair, Councilor Behill Coppler, the engineered estimate is a benchmark. It is an engineered estimate. It is not a bidder. It is a number that we were anticipating that those prices would come in at. So we do try to benchmark it so we can do a comparison back to where we think we're at as far as planning and where the market has those costs.
So, but it's under the bidders column, so that's what I was wondering.
Okay. I think that is just for comparison. I do believe we're only recommending the two contractors, not the engineered estimate. And so I can relook at that column, and if we can label that better, we can
The
do that.
engineer's estimate it's a city number, right? It's not a company bidding.
That is correct.
Okay, so yeah, thank you for doing that because I think it's misleading. That is all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other questions?
So I move for approval.
Second.
Motion for approval of item C by Counselor Vihel Coppler, second by Counselor Garcia. Further discussion? We have a roll call vote, please, Ms. Diaz.
Counselor Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Abeta,
Yes.
Counselor Landau,
Yes.
Counselor Vihel Coppler,
Yes.
and Chairman Rivera.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Now back to item A. Can you read that into the record, please, Ms. Diaz?
Request for approval of a professional services contract in the total amount of $254,000 for chart consultant team Artful Life LLC.
Thank you. And before we get started, Ms. McSherry, can you cover what questions we can ask out in the open and what we may need to go into executive session for?
Yes, Chairman Rivera, how is my volume?
You're sounding garbled and really low volume.
Okay. I might need to sign in on my phone. One moment.
Okay, this is Erin McSherry, City Attorney. Apologies for the technical difficulties. I've been using Zoom in my office on the desktop a few times, but today it started having some issues. The basic parameters are that you can ask any questions about the contract or the RFP that was posted publicly. The contractor could introduce herself if that's the preference of the committee. I'm not sure if she's on this evening or the company is on this evening. And then if you have any questions that you would want to address about the proposals themselves, either the contractor who's been recommended or the other proposal, then that would need to happen in executive session.
Okay, and I assume you'll be on listening, and if we delve into areas we shouldn't, you'll be prompt or pretty quick in letting us know about that.
Chairman Rivera, I will try. I will also try to use my hand if it's not an emergency.
Okay, thank you. All right, Councilor Vihel Coppler, you pull this item.
Okay, so thank you. I'm going to rely on the city attorney to tell me if any of my questions are not for public because I'm not really sure, but some of the questions have to do with process and it may intersperse, so I'm not sure how comfortable I feel yet with asking. But I guess the original, the question that comes to mind after Ms. McSherry spoke is referring to someone as a contractor when the city, the governing body hasn't approved the contract.
So Chairman Rivera, Councilor Vihel Coppler. So yes, I did misspeak on that term. So the potential, the recommended awardee, let's say that.
So I will say that I'm not, Well, maybe it goes back to process, because if we don't have a contractor and we have someone attending who's not a contractor, but a bidder, then where are the other bidders? So is it a fair process to have one of the 3 or 4 or 5, whatever, here and the others not? And maybe they were invited and not able to attend.
Chairman Rivera, may I address the issue?
Please, Ms. McSherry.
So I think that the purpose of having the contractor would be to ask questions. So really the matter that's in front of the governing body is not whether to select one or more of the contractors or the potential awardees. It's either this recommended awardee or no one. So it's a matter of accepting the contract, but it's not a matter of selecting the recommended awardee. So as with various contracts that I've been involved in with the governing body, so Dalkia, for example, or the Midtown procurement, the selected awardee or recommended awardee did speak with the council at the time they were recommended, answered questions, but the council wouldn't be able to go to say the second highest scoring applicant for the RFP. It's really a matter of whether or not you want to enter this contract, not whether or not you want to go with a different awardee.
Okay, then, so for the process part, it wasn't really the same exactly as Midtown, because we physically got proposals in our hands and we're able to take a look at all I'm assuming it was all of the offerers. And so that's different from what I recall. So are we not able to ask questions about what was sent to us, or are we?
Chairman Rivera, Councilor Villar-Koppler, you can certainly ask questions in executive session about the proposals, about any of the proposals. I think that you have the committee's evaluation memo, but that is the type of thing that would be an executive session. So anything about the proposals or the evaluation committee's memo, that's the type of material that would be an executive session.
Okay, so if we have questions for one of the offerers who apparently is here tonight, we can just ask those questions? Or do those have to be an executive session?
Councilor Rivera, Councilor Villar-Koppler, it just depends on what your question is. If it's about their proposal, then it has to be an executive session.
Well, I guess it would be. So I guess that's all. I don't have any questions I can ask in public. Thank you.
All right, so we do have the ability to jump out and go into executive session if that's what the committee desires. Let's see if Councilor Garcia has any questions that he can ask in public, and then we'll decide from there. Councilor Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe my question can be answered outside of the executive session realm. And this is a question for Ms. Martinez. And so I know that she's on with us tonight. Good evening, Ms. Martinez. Thank you for being with us this evening. So my question to you is, it's been brought to my attention that you may have met with Mayor Weber last week. So my question is, did you meet with the mayor last week? And if yes, did you speak with him about your proposal?
Good evening, Chair Rivera and councilors. Thank you for the question, Councilor Garcia. So we did meet with the mayor and the city team who were briefing us on this process of the committees and how this would unfold and where we needed to be and those kinds of things. So I think that was really the parameters And Janice, who is the co-director of the program, is with me tonight. So if I don't remember that correctly, Janice, please add or correct. But basically, this is new to us, this process. So they were briefing us on how to do this.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez. I appreciate it. And as you've probably experienced through the couple meetings that you participated in, it's somewhat new to us as well. And the process is new in the sense it's not the process I've been a part of in your typical RFP process. And so just to confirm, you did meet with the mayor last week and you spoke with him about your proposal. So Mr. Burnett, I got a question for you. Wouldn't that be a violation of our procurement process?
Before you answer that, Ms. McSherry, that's not the answer I heard. The answer was that they had met about the process of going through committees. I assume that was probably how to address the committee chair as well as the counselor speaking. I didn't hear anybody say that they spoke about the proposal, which is what you said, Counselor Garcia, and that's not what I heard.
And that's what I heard. She said she spoke about the proposal, but then also talked about the process. And from my information, the meeting took place after 2 of the committee meetings had taken place. So that information would be potentially irrelevant, maybe. I don't know. So I guess if Ms. Martinez, can you clarify, I guess, for us? Did you speak with
Ms. McSherry, you had your hand up?
I do, Chairman Rivera. I heard the same thing you did, Chairman, but I'm not sure it's relevant necessarily or matters. As long as it wasn't released publicly, that's really the restriction. It doesn't have to be an executive session. It just can't be released publicly until final award, which would be signing the contract.
I think the question is what if the mayor had a meeting with the proposed contractor and actually discussed the proposal itself, which I didn't hear Ms. Martinez say happened.
Chair Rivera and councilors, the meeting happened at the invitation of the marketing group to talk about things like the announcement of the recommended awardee, the press release. And so it was mainly a discussion with the marketing people. And the mayor did join us, but we never spoke about the actual proposal with the mayor.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. I really appreciate it. And so I guess this is a process question then for maybe the city attorney. If myself or any of the other governing body members wanted to set up a meeting with Ms. Martinez and the proposal group, we can do so, just we wouldn't talk about the process, or can you define the rules and responsibilities around that?
Chairman Rivera, Councilor Garcia, I think the main restriction is talking about the proposals before final award in public or with the public or disclosing them to the public. So if we could set parameters around something like that, I mean, it's just, I'm not sure what the purpose would be. In this case, there was a press release being prepared, and I think they were trying to meet the recommended proposer so that a press release could be prepared.
Okay, but then I guess back to my question, just for clarification, if I wanted to meet with Ms. Martinez and Ms. Guerra to talk about the proposal one-on-one, there's nothing that would prohibit me from doing that. Is that, am I understanding that correctly, or?
Councilor Rivera, Councilor Garcia, at this point, after the recommended award had been made, if that's what we're talking about, I don't think there's anything that prohibits it.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. I really appreciate that. Because again, that's a bit different from the process than we've gone through in prior RFPs. And I think it was brought up with the Midtown process we went through. We prohibited from talking to the applicant, from my understanding. We couldn't reach out to KDCC. And so I think, Ms. Martinez, to your point, this is why it's so confusing that there are certain things that apply here that haven't applied in the past. And then again, coupled with that, in my professional experience, it hasn't applied in general in that sense. So I think that's what has me so perplexed, is that I want to make sure that I'm fully understanding this process. With that, no other questions, Mr. Chair.
All right, Ms. McSherry, is this scheduled to be a public hearing, not a public hearing, executive session at the council meeting?
Councilor Rivera, anytime a subject is on our agenda that requires an executive session, we can have one. I did not specifically schedule one for this. I don't generally do it for procurement matters, but we can go into executive session during the discussion of this item.
Okay. So again, committee members, we can do so now, or it sounds like we can do so at the governing body meeting when we're all together. Councilor Lindell, you have your hand up? Maybe not. Councilor Vihil Coppler?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, then I indicated I had questions that Ms. McSherry said would not be appropriate for public. So I'd rather just have an executive session at the city council meeting because obviously this is the first time that I see this. And so I would like to have the benefit of discussion among the other counselors who have already looked at this and this has gone through other committees. And so I want the benefit of that discussion as well. And I do understand some of those committees went into executive session. So, and this is on the consent calendar for the governing body meeting.
So the process, Ms. McSherry, would be to pull it off consent and then request that we go into executive session to discuss the matter. Is that correct?
Chairman Rivera, yes, that is correct.
Okay, Councilor Vihil Coppler, you're good with that?
I'm very good with that. Thank you.
Okay. All right, any other questions that can be done now? All right, hear none or see none. So what are the wishes of the committee? We can move this without a recommendation, or the recommendation that when we hear it at council that we pull it for executive session.
Mr. Chair, I move that we move this forward to the governing body with the expectation that it will be pulled from the consent calendar and likely to go into executive session. Should the governing body vote to go into executive session?
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Councilor Vihil Coppler, a second by Councilor Garcia. Any further discussion? See none. Can we have a roll call vote, please? Ms. Diaz?
Councilor Garcia,
Sorry about that. I was still on mute. Yes.
Councilor Abeta,
Yes.
Councilor Lindell,
Yes.
Councilor Vihil Coppler,
Yes.
and Chairman Rivera.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next. We're on item number 9, action items or discussion. We have nothing there, nothing for executive session. Matters from staff.
Thank you, Chairman. I have an unfortunate announcement to let the Public Works and Utilities Committee know that Javier Rosado, our new engineering division director, will be leaving the city and going to work at the laboratory at Los Alamos National Lab. And this, it's definitely unfortunate. He was really taking care of a lot of business here and doing a great job. And we have no traffic engineer And now, again, no engineering division director, and a number of other positions in his division are vacant. So this is another area, like so many in the city, that are we're working to fill vacancies and losing people as fast as we're gaining them back in. Also, I'd like to announce to the Public Works and Utilities Committee that we had reviewed a $10 million immediate capital funding list a couple months before the budget. And that opportunity has been resurrected and will be coming to governing body for approval over the next probably 45 days. It'll go through the committee process and to governing body for funding some immediate capital needs. And we continue to update our long-range capital plan and developed a list of projects for consideration for a GRT bond later this year. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Jones?
No matters from the staff. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Matters from the committee? Councilor Viejo-Coppler?
Thank you. I just want to say goodbye to Mr. Rosado, and I appreciate, I'm sure we all do, everything you tried to do for the city. We're very backlogged, and I can imagine that you had a very fun time trying to juggle all of the projects in the air and hope none of them fell. So now they're all falling. And I just appreciate, your work and the times that I met that you were in meetings that we were in together. And you always had a willingness to do the best job you could. Very much appreciated. I think the lab is getting a great employee, and I'm sorry to see you leave. But things happen, right? So I wish you well. And are you going to be with us for a short while, or when are you leaving?
Yeah, I'm going to be with the city until Wednesday, July 21st. So it's meet on next week.
Well, I wish you well. So that means we probably won't get to see you again in this committee. But thanks for everything that you did for the city. Your service certainly is appreciated. And good luck to you.
Thank you, Councilor. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you all the public work team for the opportunity. It has been a pleasure working for the city. I met a lot of good people with good intentions and really compromise with the city. It has been a learning experience. So I really appreciate the time that I was here. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you. That is all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor. Anything else from the committee? See none. Matters from the chair. Thank you, Mr. Rosado. I want to echo that as well. Everything Councilor Viejo-Coppler said, and wish you well in your new endeavors. Also, Ms. Wheeler, I know we talked about the CIP and the ICIP lists. So whenever we're getting ready or getting close to having to make sure we have that list together, can you send it to all the committee members so we can review it with enough time that we can probably have discussions with individual committee members and make some of those preliminary decisions?
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, actually, Javier had just started the project to update the ICIP. It's in desperate need of some significant updating. And so with his departure, that will fall to me along with the GRT planning and the long-range capital planning. So we'll get that to you. We can certainly send you last year's list. And I think what you'll see when you see it is that there's a number of things that have been funded. Some things have been completed. But I'd be happy to send that as a sort of a memory refresher while we're working on doing some of the technical work to update the list.
I think that would be fine, just to get a preliminary look at it and start thinking about it. All right, with that, our next meeting is Monday, July 26th. Thank you all for being here and being patient, and we'll see you all on Wednesday.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.